Greetings everyone. I believe this will be my last test in Zephyr Dragonfruit beta, and I made this elephant. This is made actually by scanning a little toy of my daughter. So yeah, I did not scan an elephant actually. I do not have a big rig enough. So I believe that looks quite cool. I decided this object because it have quite a lot of geometrical little detail, and I was able to use the benefits of photo consistency, and I also tested the edge filtering, also the well-known enchant filter and the high frequency gain. So this is the bread and butter of Zephyr, in my opinion, especially due to my workflows. But yeah, I know other photogrammetry tools also have photo consistency, but somehow I like how Zephyr handles it. So I would like to show you that how I made this elephant, and it could be that for some of you it's not any new information at all. I was actually using masks, but for some users maybe it could help and improve their workflow. So first of all, I captured the images in a way that I was turning the elephant, turning the object by hand. It was a small object. And as you see, I lied it down also because I wanted to scan it from every direction. So first I was just rotating it, and then later on I laid it down and I rotated it in this way, like laid down. And probably most of you are familiar that when you are doing something like this, then you will have to mask out the background. In this case, I was using a blanket that I knew that will make a structure, a raster, and with a purpose, because I wanted to make this tutorial. So when you are using a blanket like this, no matter what kind of fabric it is from, but it will have a texture. And when you try to auto mask your images inside Zephyr, then you know it's the best way to handle all the hassle and to don't struggle with every image one by one. You should do it by color, but you know, you can choose the red, and there are a lot of black spots here due to the structure of this blanket. So, and there is a little shadow here, so it will not choose these ones. But if you parametrically change the masking area, then it will of course choose a lot of things inside your model. So it's not an easy thing. And of course you could have a perfect green box, blue box, or whatever, and yeah, in that case it will work out. Let's pretend that we don't have any. So what I did, that first of all I dropped it to Lightroom, and I used Lightroom. There are a lot of very great softwares like Affinity Photo and so on, but the problem is that, for example, in Affinity you cannot use synchronization, and that's a kind of issue, for example, due to this workflow, because I was playing with the luminance on the color channels due to saturation, due to hue, and this is how I was able to achieve this first channel. And then when I achieved it, so I separated the background totally from the object. You can actually, to be honest, if you have an approximately even one color background and you have any kind of object. There is not a recipe that you know what parametric value you should change, but when you start to play inside the camera raw, so if you have Photoshop you can use camera raw. I was using Lightroom, but actually the same setups you can find there. You start to play the levels, you start to play with color toning, you start to play with shadows, highlights, texture, dehaze, you know, just play around with it and try to make the object as separated from the background as possible, and you will see it's quite easy, but every object needs different kind of setups. So when I did this, but you see it still has the rasters and there is still a little shadow here. So, and there is just a little shadow in the first image, but actually if we would go further we would see that there are some images where this shadow is more prominent and the rasters are more seen. So because of this I saved up, I synchronized the first image with every even other image, and then I saved it up and load it up again. And after I load it up, I was able to make this setup. So basically here, as you can see, the background is absolutely different. We can say that it's a complementary color, nearby complementary. So the masking algorithm will not make any mistakes, and it's very important to keep the edge of your object very clean, so don't blur the image or something to disable the texture, but try different kind of methods like oversaturating the color that contains the background and the most dominant one inside what you achieved. For example, we came from gray, but as you see we can arrive to a greenish color like this. And then I synchronized this one with every other image. After I did this, I loaded up Zephyr, and I was using a new project and mask images. Okay, I will load it up. Yeah, it is loaded, but now I will launch Masquarade anyway. So yeah, probably who is familiar with this maybe already skipped the movie. So if someone is here, then maybe never use this tool. So there is a tool that with its help you can auto mask in Zephyr. So actually you can do the masking in a lot of ways. So for example, you can do it manually, but what I like that if I color grade the image to achieve this, then I can pick this color and apply, and it's perfectly, it makes a perfect, of course it makes a perfect mask as well. And what is cool, that now I can say apply to all, and then I don't have to do anything. You see, we have 184 images, and yeah, you know, it can be boring to do everything manually, so it's good to have an auto option like this. And after I did this, I discarded all the masks are saved automatically to this folder. Sorry, pardon me. To this folder, and all you should do that actually you are just you're looking for BIM files, and you copy all of them. Oh, pardon me. bin files and you copy all of them to the folder that contains your original images. It is very important that all the mask images should have the same names. Not all, but actually the final image set, what you are using, should have the same name, like in this case it's elephant, should have the same name as your color images that you will use for the reconstruction. Alright, because this is how it will connect the two. So basically when you did this, then you have to open up a new project. No, sorry. So new project, mask images. I discarded this one this time, and yeah, this folder, the JPEGs. And since you saved the masks that were generated with the help of the color calibrated images, you save them and then you transform them, you put them to the folder where are your images that you want to use for point cloud creation and mesh construction, depth map and texture projection. Then since it has the same name also, it will recognize it. So as you see, it immediately loaded up all the masks, and if I open Masquarade, then you can see that it's perfectly matching and all the images are masked. Okay, so it's easy like this. And I made a spare point cloud. Okay, please change. And as you can see, this is really beautiful. Like, because of the masking process, there is quite a few issues. Like here I see one, yeah, floating point. Now I could not find it. It was somewhere here, and here is one little mistake. Here is another little mistake. You can delete those, but as you can see, this is a spare point cloud, so yeah, I believe that's quite cool already. And then I made a dense one. Important that when you are using masks, share the time and make a point cloud with high settings. Alright, so don't make it in default settings and then try to make a high setting dense point cloud, because that will not work out. Like, I made a few tests and actually it's not the way. So the spare point cloud should be the most accurate, and in most cases, and for example here as well, I made the spare point cloud in high settings. I set up it to close range and high settings, so I didn't even bother with custom settings, but you can push it even higher and do a more accurate work. Try it, make experiments. And then the dense point cloud I made on normal settings, on default close range normal settings, and it was quite fast, to be honest. This is the longest process in Zephyr, probably you know. Let's take a look. Yeah, it was 34 minutes. Yeah, that's not that short, but let's be honest, this is 183 photos, and I made it with a 32 megapixel camera, and it's full resolution, so basically 30 minutes on my side, it's okay. And this is the longest process in Zephyr, we all know it. The mesh construction is much faster than in other softwares, where the point cloud generation is, yeah, faster than in Zephyr. But alright, anyway, personally I don't go after the speed, now in 2020, because nearly every even photogrammetry software can offer quite cool speed, in my opinion. So yeah, they are all good. So, and the dense point cloud, let's take a look on it. It looks quite cool. It looks quite cool. It already looks like a very nice mesh. You already can see that, yeah, it will turn out well. And this model has a tricky part, like the ears. They're quite thin, and you know, the point cloud generation should be very, very accurate, because in otherwise, for example, with other models, I had the problem a lot of times that if it's not that accurate, and this is a little toy, this is a few centimeter big toy, like 5 centimeters or something. So I believe you can imagine that how thin this ear is, very, very thin, like, I don't know, 1 millimeter maybe. And if it's not enough accurate how it you know, trying to put the points in, then some points that should be here will be on the other side, some that should be this side will be on the other. I had it a lot of times with every even photogrammetry software, and there will be a bunch of holes on the surface that is thin like this. It can be a leaf or can be any thin surface. It will be full of holes. So I was very happy when I saw the dense point cloud, because I saw that even the ears are extremely well done. Alright, from here I made a mesh. The mesh was made on default settings as well. You don't have to make a big hassle around it. It can be done on default, and this is what I was able to achieve. As you can see, it's nearly perfect, but it has some little mistakes here and there, like here on the food, on its feet, and here, and behind the ears. Yeah, because this is a hard part, but here are some. Okay, so what I started to do on filtering tab, I started to use Laplacian smoother. Like, there are two smoothers in Zephyr, the bilateral smoother that is trying to keep the edges, but this is not what we want due to this thing and due to the workflow where we will use photo consistency. In this case, Laplacian smoother is the way what is actually works as Dynamesh. So it smooths out everything, but you have to be careful and always use prevent mesh shrinkage, because it can deform your mesh very, very greatly. So always use this option, and don't be afraid to use quite high numbers. I run this smoother a few times, and once or twice I even run it at 20. Yeah, here are still some little issues, and I believe at the next stage I corrected. Yeah, I correct this one. And actually what I did here, okay, let's step back one. Actually what I did here, that I run 2 or 3 Laplacian smoother, and then I was using a selection lasso tool, and let's say that this part has some bumps that I don't like, for example. Then I select it. I can select, you know, a lot of little holes like this, or little bumps that I believe that they are not correct. Then you close in the selection, and on the same window you choose select. This is by the way what you use for selecting, and this is what you want to do with the selection. And here you also can use Laplacian smoother, update mesh properties, so remesh it. this spot when it was smoothed. And you can smooth out just parts when you are satisfied with the whole object. As you can see, I don't want to smooth more around the eyes. This is beautiful here, but I still had some issues around the legs. So this is why I was using a smoothing method where you can basically use selection. So yeah, this is what happened. And after when I did this, I did the first photo consistency filter. Sorry, photo consistency based mesh optimization, and I used a lot of high frequency filter here. Then I was using some smoothing again, and then I was using another photo consistency mesh optimization, and in this case I set it up like I did not use that much high frequency gain. I use it approximately this much, like it was, yeah, like around 20, but I pushed the enhance filter a bit more, and I absolutely took down the edge filtering. I did the edge filtering before, but after I did a little smoothing, because sometimes the edge filtering can generate two geometrical forms that it's good if you smooth it down a little bit, but you also keep it, so don't use a too big number due to Laplacian smoother, and then you can put a bit stronger enhance filter in. But of course it's always object dependent, so I guess everyone can figure it out that what his mesh, what his object needs the most. And yeah, this is the final result, what I'm quite pleased with. So yeah, actually this little tutorial turned out a bit long, but I hope that I was able to help for a few of you, and I was able to share some information, some very basic workflow, and yeah, this version will be released in the next days. I'm very happy with this version. I see very big improvement here. I believe that this mesh, for example, is quite great. You can, now export it, make externally, but if you want, you can make it internally as well. You can make a little decimation, because now it contains quite a lot of polygons, like 4 million triangles, but yeah, it's not that much. As you see, it's quite responsive, so you can work easily with even much more. It's not a strong workstation what we are looking through now. And yeah, you can use decimation internally, but do not decimate it too much. Then you project the texture. Now I can show it, but this is just these are just vertex colors. So as you can see, I did not generate any texture so far, but I will. But even the vertex colors looks quite nice. And as you can see, this was quite a shiny object, so it was very shiny, and because of that I was very curious that how it will turn out, because it was coated with a shiny something coating and it's actually a plastic object. So yeah, but these are vertex colors, so the texture of course will be much better. So yeah, when you decimate it, you can project the texture in it, and then you can make another decimation to make it low poly as possible, and then you can make some baking process. You can make baking process inside Zephyr as well. You can bake displacement height maps, and you also can bake normal map. I myself do it externally, but you know, it's your decision that what software park you have or where you like to work, and also depends on your workflow. But anyway, long story short, I believe that this high poly version is absolutely good for baking normals or displacement maps or, you know, bump map, but not many of us are using it anymore. So yeah, that's very, very nice, very detailed scan thanks to photo consistency, mesh optimization, and the inner filter options. So yeah, this is it. Thanks for joining and have good scanning. Cheers.